Welcome, everybody. Good to see you all here. My name is Ross Schaefer, and in this class, we'll be working on one of the most important skills you'll ever use, your ability to inform, persuade, and lead other people through public speaking. Now, if you get really good at this, you'll make a lot more money, more people will love you, and you're going to appear much taller in public. And actually, you probably know I'm kidding about the money part. That being said, though, how many of you fear public speaking more than you do, say, swimming in a tub of piranha? Raise your hand. Great. Very common reaction. But it doesn't have to be that way. I'm going to tell you a secret about every audience. They want you to succeed. And they're so happy they are not you at this moment. Now, actually, as you learn techniques that help you build confidence and improve your presentation skills, you're going to get excited about speaking and the incredible opportunities speaking presents. And here's another little-known secret. Anyone can learn to do this. So, let's get started. The first and foremost lesson you can take away from this class is this: practice. Take every opportunity that you can to speak in front of people. Give a toast at a dinner. Speak at a club you belong to. Make presentations at business meetings, even if it's 2 or 3 minutes. That little time on stage contributes toward building your confidence. So in that spirit, I'm going to give somebody their first opportunity. How about you? Why don't you tell us why you're here?
Oh, okay. I'm Jane McNally, and I'm a buyer for a retail clothing chain. I have to give a report to the division heads at our annual meeting, and, well, they can be a pretty tough crowd.
Okay, good. Tell us a little bit more about the report.
Well, we recently spent a whole lot of money on new software and scanners, and we still can't tell how much inventory we have. So they want me to explain the problems and suggest solutions.
Okay, so your job then in your talk is that you need to inform. This is a straightforward, no-nonsense type of talk that requires clear and concise delivery. And I want to get back to that, but who else? How about you, sir?
Me? Right. Well, I'm Roger Sims. I run the Aviation Museum here in town. And we're dedicating a new wing next month. I'm planning a tribute to the man who started it all 40 years ago. I think I'm okay with the speaking part of it. It's just that my wife thinks my speeches are boring.
Okay, well, if it's true, that could be a problem, especially if the purpose of your talk is to entertain.
Exactly.
If you're giving a speech whose purpose is to entertain, you all have to keep in mind that your audience has got to stay tuned in. And a good way to do this is to use personal stories or use humor, or both. Bottom line is, you've got to keep them happy, keep them interested. Anyone else? Okay, yeah.
Hi, I'm Kristen Carter, and I have to give a talk at a fundraiser. See, I received a scholarship from Barlow College, and that's why they asked me to speak, but I've never actually spoken in front of a crowd before.
Okay, this is great. It sounds like your speech needs to persuade and motivate. So you'll be able to use a lot of personal experiences, so it probably is going to be more emotional than these other examples. You're going to need something powerful, something that encourages your audience to take some action. Over the next 3 weeks, we're going to be covering all different types of talks. But let's start at the beginning. There are 2 aspects of public speaking: preparing your speech and presenting your speech. When you learn that you'll be giving a speech, the first thing that you do is...
Panic.
Panic, yes. Panic is fine. Panic actually is okay, because fear is a great motivator. And one of the things we'll be doing is learning how to channel that anxiety into positive energy. Actors call that their performance edge. So after you panic a little bit, the next thing is start doing your homework. That means removing the unknowns. Start by learning more about the event. This is a key to controlling stage fright. You don't want any surprises.
I think it's in conference room C.
Checking out the location will help you start to get comfortable immediately.
So, what time?
10 o'clock.
How many people?
Well, most of the senior executives, so probably about 10.
Great. Just great.
You're going to do fine.
Oh, I noticed you didn't raise your hand.
Hey, I'm going to be out of town.
Conveniently.
Look, I'll help you get ready.
You know, I just wish I weren't the bearer of bad news. What's that phrase? Kill the messenger?
Your next step is to be clear about the speech's objective.
But what exactly is the point of my talk?
Well, as you know, we're really hurting for donations right now. We need to get the alumni excited about our program. Show them what it means for an individual to get a scholarship. Inspire them to take out their checkbooks.
Okay, I'll try.
Don't worry, you'll be fine. These are really nice people.
Your talk has to be appropriate for the situation, so it's critical to know your audience.
Who's going to be here?
Patrons of the museum, city employees, media. You know, it's a festive occasion. Just give them a great time.
Yeah, most of them don't really know the history of this place.
Right, but let's not overwhelm them with the details. And did you know I'm doing the introduction?
Do we need that? I mean, most everybody already knows who I am.
Well, not everybody. Besides, it's always a good idea to introduce the speaker. They'll be ready for you when I'm done with them.
All right.
Part of knowing the audience is knowing what the audience expects.
How long are they expecting me to talk?
About 20 minutes. But trust me, shorter is almost always better. Your speech should only be as long as it needs to be to make your points.
And do they know that we're trying to get them to donate money?
Well, let's just say they understand it's part of being an involved alumnus.
Okay, so not too much of a hard sell.
That's right. I've got some notes that might help you out.
Okay.
Once you've found out the logistics about the speech, the who, where, why, it's time for the next step, writing the speech. You can begin the speech writing process by brainstorming.
Nothing but bad news and more bad news. More than half the time, our inventory counts are wrong. Most stores just can't seem to get it right. I need something positive. Maybe if I talk to the few stores that are getting it right.
Brainstorming means you don't edit yourself. Write down everything associated with your topic. Think of interesting stories and facts you can use. Eventually, you'll find you have so much material you'll have to decide, what do I keep and what do I throw away? Keep asking yourself these two questions. What is my overall goal? And who is my audience?
Do these people really know how important these scholarships are? A lot of us wouldn't have gone to college at all. Barlow was a whole new world for us. Maybe I can reach some of the others and share their stories too, especially Marita.
After you've brainstormed, it's time to do your research. Researching is fun because as you learn more about the subject, you'll gain expertise. The more expertise you have, the more excited you are to talk about it with other people. That natural enthusiasm makes for an interesting speech and compels people to listen. Know the information backwards and forwards. Become an expert on the subject that you'll be talking about. So, you've learned about the venue, the format, who the audience is. You've brainstormed and you've researched. Now it's time to put it all together. Now, of course, an important part of writing the speech is coming up with a good structure. And there are many possibilities, but most speeches have an introduction, they have a discussion, and a conclusion. In the first few moments with your audience, make an effort to establish a personal connection with these people. If someone from the group has just introduced you, thank that person for the introduction. Or add some words that will tell your listeners something about why you're qualified to speak to them on that day. Or you can choose to make a brief comment about the event itself, some other shared experience. Even hello is great. You see, this is your verbal handshake before you officially start your speech. Then, when you start your speech, your first sentence should quickly grab the audience's attention. I mean, this can be achieved through relevant humor, provocative statements, shocking facts, even a rhetorical question is good. Something that makes them sit up and go, wow, that's interesting. Okay, why don't you all write a compelling opening for your own speech, and we're going to break up into groups and do a little rehearsing. Let's do that now.
Okay, here it goes. A scholarship can transform a life in some very powerful ways. Take my friend Marita. The small desert town she grew up in consists of just one intersection with dust and weeds and scrapyards everywhere you look. Marita felt she had a pretty dismal future. But one day a counselor told her about the Barlow Scholarship Program, and she didn't think that she had a chance, but she applied anyway.
Last year, we spent a small fortune on a state-of-the-art inventory reporting system. Instantaneous data throughput, the best and smartest point-of-sale scanners, the works. And today, 6 months later, I have to report that 60% of our inventory counts are off. And some are way off.
All right, now after you've written your attention getter, you're going to need a sentence or two that will clearly identify where you're going with your topic.
Today I'll be telling you about the story of how this new wing came about. You'll be hearing a lot about Blaine Walker because it was his passion. It was his love for this place that made it happen. He is why we are here today.
My purpose is to report the extent and cost of our inventory errors and to propose a starting point for getting this fixed.
All right, let me add something here. The final sentence of the introduction is where you provide your own personal point of view. Tell them how you feel about this topic.
I believe that providing high school students with a Barlow Scholarship is one of the most powerful gifts you can give. A gift that opens the door to Barlow and changes a life forever.
I know we have the talent in this organization to cut our error rate in half just by increasing in-store training.
All right, everyone. In your discussion, organize your main points. Keep the points simple, but keep them relevant to your topic. See, the discussion segment of your speech is where you give the audience a reason to agree with your point of view. So you want to give them facts, you want to give them illustrations, you want to give them proof that you know what you're talking about. And it's especially critical to keep them excited and engaged throughout this section. Now, how do you do that? By making them care about your topic. Remember, as you create your discussion, you have to speak from your heart. So personalize your speech. Let your enthusiasm for your topic show. And use powerful language and descriptive words that paint pictures in the minds of your listeners. Because you want their minds full of images they won't forget. Now, if your speech is to motivate or persuade, like Kristen's here, ask yourself, what are you fighting for? Do you care about your message? I mean, every hero is obsessed with his or her quest. Passionately tell us about your quest. Your speech is about entertaining people like Roger's here. Remember that a good speech tells a memorable story. So ask yourself, what kind of story am I telling?
How's it going?
Oh, it's not. You know, I can't seem to capture the real Blaine Walker. Everything I write sounds dull, and Blaine wasn't dull.
So, why don't you tell one of your stories?
Like what?
Like when you were a kid and Blaine put you in the pilot seat of that old biplane.
Yeah, but people don't want to hear about me running around the museum when I was 10.
But that's a wonderful story. And it impressed you so much you've told me about 1,000 times. I can't believe I'm asking for 1,001.
I don't know.
Get them to feel the excitement of a kid who will remember that day his whole life. That's all you gotta do.
Make your speech dramatic. Draw upon your own personal experiences if possible. Help the audience feel what you felt or see what you saw.
When I was a young boy, this museum was practically my second home. I used to spend hours in here.
Another important thing to remember as you develop your discussion is to keep it simple. Most of the great speeches throughout history are memorable not because they were long, but because their message was simple.
Due to unwarranted optimism, which perpetuated a mindset of infallibility, the climate was not conducive to validating.
Whoa, I'm already lost.
Too much jargon.
Confusing them won't make the bad news any easier to swallow. This group is time sensitive and they appreciate clarity. Get the facts out quickly and then get to the solution.
Okay. How about if I say it like this? We thought the new software would take care of all of our inventory reporting problems, but we underestimated the effect of point-of-sale scanning errors.
That I can understand. But I'd rethink these visual aids.
You don't like them?
Well, you can put this one up, go take a 5-minute break, and let them try to understand it. Actually, maybe 10 minutes.
Okay, Mr. Know-It-All. Could we use any of these?
Only the ones that add value. Like these pie charts and graphs. They make your points visually. Better than the columns of numbers. But I'd rethink most of your bullet points. They can't read all this while you're talking. My rule of thumb, 3 short phrases per card, maybe 4 words per bullet point.
Yeah, okay. That sounds good. Thank you.
Finally, after the discussion section, a speech usually has some kind of conclusion. Audiences usually pay more attention when they actually hear something like, "in conclusion," or "let me finish by," or "let me leave you with one important thought." So it's not a bad idea to get their attention by cueing your ending.
In conclusion, I'd like to thank you and the Barlow Foundation for all you have done.
After the cue, review your main points.
I've recommended 3 steps for improvement. First, we need to make sure store personnel understand the scope of the problem. Second, we need to provide training on proper scanning procedures. And finally, we need more frequent physical inventory counts.
Then give them your last shot, something that leaves a lasting impression that galvanizes your message and makes you unforgettable.
Remember Marita's long journey from that dusty crossroads all the way to Barlow? After graduating with honors, she received stacks of high-paying job offers. But for her, it wasn't about the money. She had something else on her mind. She's now working for the education department, creating programs that help other disadvantaged kids like her get ready for college.
If you're trying to sell your audience on something, you've got to make a clear call to action here.
So please make a contribution today. There are other Maritas out there just waiting for a chance to succeed. And each one of you has the power to give it to them.
Welcome back, everyone. All right, you've written your speech, all ready to go now, right? Not quite, because just as important as what you say is how you say it. So now let's talk about the second aspect of public speaking, which is the presentation. Why don't we try a few examples? Who would like to be my first victim? All right, now, I can't take everybody at once. Kristen, how about you? Come on up. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Kristen.
When I was asked to give this talk, I felt it was a fortuitous opportunity to say thank you. I also began to wonder how the other Barlow Scholarship recipients in my graduating class felt about their scholarships. The response to my emails was overwhelming. Let me tell you about one of them. Is that enough?
Now, see, I think that's a good start. I think that part of Kristen's speech has a lot of potential to be very good, but right now, it sounds like you're reading.
I know.
Doesn't it? All right. Speeches should sound natural, so be careful not to use complicated words that you would never use in your normal conversation. Unfamiliar words are not your friend. They can trip you up because they're easier to forget and you haven't lived with them long enough to be comfortable with them. See, speeches should be delivered in a manner that's called heightened conversation. Now, that sounds like normal conversation, it's talking, but more energetic, a little more organized and thought out. So to achieve this tone, you're going to need to reduce your speech to just a few notes.
We have to memorize it?
No, not at all. In fact, I wouldn't want you to memorize it. Trying to memorize your speech word for word is setting yourself up for failure because your speech will sound canned, it won't sound spontaneous, and you're more likely to lose your place if you forget a word or a phrase. Instead, take keywords from each section, words that will remind you of your essential ideas, and then list them in an outline form. These notes are your guides. Then you fill in the bulk of what you say with unscripted words, conversation that sounds real. So why don't we do that? Why don't we reduce your speeches to note cards, then we're going to try it again, and we'll start with you, Kristen, doing the same section.
Ah, goody. When I was first asked to give this talk, I was a little reluctant about the idea of giving a speech. But then I realized what a great opportunity this was to say thank you and to help support a great program that meant so much to me. I also began to wonder about the others in my class who had received scholarships. What had become of them? How did they feel about their scholarships? I emailed every single one of them, and the response was just amazing.
Yes. Now, do you see how much more natural that sounded?
I think it did.
That was really good, Kristen. All right, let's talk about eye contact. Kristen, how did you feel about your eye contact just then?
I didn't really notice.
Okay. like everything else, making good eye contact may seem a little uncomfortable at first, but it's a skill that can be easily learned. Now, Kristen was naturally prone to look just at me, but it's better if your eyes don't stay on one place. They shouldn't ratchet back and forth either, but pick 4 or 5 locations or friendly faces in your audience so that you can vary your eye contact in those areas. Then you make a conscious decision to deliver one sentence here and then move on to another location. See, eye contact is crucial to establishing rapport with your audience. Keeps them interested in you, helps them trust you, keeps them engaged because they never know when you're going to come back and start looking at them again. All right, continue, Kristen. And remember now, find a spot, lock there for a while, then find another spot and lock there. Go ahead.
Let me take a moment to explain how the Barlow Foundation works. The foundation relies entirely on donations from alumni. There are no large corporate donors or government grants. It is only through your generous support that these scholarships exist.
There it is. See, it's that easy. All right, let's stop there for now. Kristen, great job. Thank you. Okay, between now and our next session, I want you to work on the most important part of delivering an effective speech. Unfortunately, there is work involved here because the most important part of a speech consists of these 3 words: practice, practice, practice. So I want you to go into the world and practice. Practicing is what makes you a polished and smooth speaker.
When I was a junior in high school, my chances for going to college looked pretty bad. My grades were good, but my family didn't have the money.
Practice anywhere and anytime it's feasible.
The idea of the new wing for the museum. He had an idea of how it would look and even a clear idea.
And I was feeling left behind.
Practicing gives you command of the material. Practice in front of coworkers. If you can, practice in an environment that will be similar to where you'll be delivering your speech.
So I remember when Blaine...
Practice in front of your family, or anyone else you can find.
My friend Marita. She grew up in a small desert town that consisted of just one dusty intersection.
And when you're done practicing, practice some more.
The most common error we've identified occurs with customer exchanges. For example, a coat that is too big or too small is exchanged for the same coat in a different size.
Remember when Blaine Walker first proposed that we should build a new wing for the museum? He had a clear idea of what the new wing would look like, and he also had ideas on how to get it funded. Does that sound stuffy to you?
Not stuffy, just not very inspiring either.
See, it should be inspiring because it was an historic day for the museum.
Well, then don't just state facts. Like, describe what you felt or what was going on. Put the moment in context.
Context. That's a good word. How do you spell that?
Just tell the audience why you remember the day so well.
Well, those were tough times 5 years ago. Yeah, we were running out of money. I was worried about laying off staff. I think Bob was complaining about the power bill. And then Blaine, out of nowhere, he says we need to add a new wing. And everybody just started laughing. Except Blaine. He was dead serious. And he had a plan.
That is good. So then what happened?
Well, then Blaine laid out the plan. We stopped laughing and we got to work.
Hello, everyone. Well, how's the practicing going? Well, you've got to admit it's getting a little easier, though, isn't it? All right. Well, let's take a moment now and talk about presentation a little more. Let's think about the pacing of your talk. Pauses, very useful. Sometimes the most effective elements of your speech are the things that you don't say. You make a point, and then you pause. You wait. Now, you can pause to show a transition, pause for dramatic effect, or pause to set up a witty moment. Roger, why don't you come up, give a portion of your speech, and concentrate on pausing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Roger.
As a 10-year-old, I would often ride my bike down to this museum, along with any friend that I could talk into coming along with me. One day, we were hanging around a replica of Lindbergh's Spirit of St. Louis, and we were making sounds of explosions and gunfire. We were a little noisy. Actually, we were obnoxious kids. My wife says I haven't changed. Anyway, all of a sudden, Blaine comes charging towards us. Now, Blaine wasn't a big guy, but I gotta tell you, to us, he just looked like King Kong in a tie.
See, that's good. See how a pause gives a speech character? They can make it smart. They can make it thought-provoking. And with the right timing, as Roger just showed us, humorous. All right, who's next?
To make sure that we were not proposing changes that would be too difficult for stores to implement, I went out and talked to some of the store managers who have been sending us accurate inventory levels. What I discovered is that these stores were already in an informal way.
All right, Jane, I'm going to stop you right now. Now, I'm sorry, but interruptions are something you have to be prepared for, especially for a speech to inform, like the one you're about to give.
Right. They always interrupt.
Okay, now, not to put Jane on the spot, but why not? Let's talk about body position and gesturing. They're all critical parts of giving an effective speech. Now, when you're speaking, use your body. Turn to different sides of the audience. If it's appropriate, you can walk around a bit, moving from one side of a stage to another, to engage your audience, basically. Just make sure you don't find yourself pacing back and forth. Gestures. Gestures also have to appear very normal, natural. Now, you can have too many gestures or not enough gestures, or you can have one gesture that you use way too much. Now, did you notice anything you were repeating over and over?
I know. I'm using the hatchet chop too much, aren't I?
Yeah, once is fine, but you're scaring us with it. Gesturing should appear natural. You want to avoid nervous fidgeting. Don't pull at your hair. Don't pull at your clothes. Your hands shouldn't be motionless, but they also shouldn't be wildly moving around either. Now, there's a happy medium, sort of like I'm using my hands right now. In the coming days, make it a point to study effective speakers. See how they use their hands. See how they move their bodies. As you continue to rehearse, mirror their movements. Want to try it again?
Okay.
All right.
A few of the store managers were managing to send us accurate information. So I went out and talked to them to find out how they were doing it. These particular stores were already training their staff to use the new equipment properly.
Now, great dramatic speakers range from whispering to shouting. They sometimes take long, dramatic pauses. And then other times they race through an entire paragraph very quickly. So make your voice pitch, your rate of speed, and your volume work for you. Now finally, I do want to talk a little bit more about stage fright. Every good speaker feels nervous before going on stage. Now some may call it excitement, but the symptoms are exactly the same. The queasy stomach, sweaty hands, a dry mouth, your mind is racing. You're never going to get rid of all your nervousness, and you really wouldn't want to. Because being nervous is a sign that you're keyed up enough to give a good, energetic speech. But it's important to control that nervousness, and there are concrete steps and techniques you can take to do this. Many are things we've already discussed. First, you prepared. You analyzed your audience and researched your topic. Remember that by immersing yourself in the subject, you gained extensive knowledge and enthusiasm. And that knowledge and enthusiasm will go a long ways towards controlling any nervousness you may have. You organized your speech with a clear introduction, discussion, and conclusion. You included examples, demonstrations, and gentle humor. And you made sure to keep it simple. And then you practiced. Because the better you know your presentation, the more you will be able to just be in the moment and forget any feelings of nervousness. So, it's preparation that is the ultimate answer to combating nervousness. Now, if you're going to be in a situation like Jane, where there's a chance of a question from the audience, then you should prepare yourself for that. It's a good idea to rehearse answers to most difficult questions that you might be asked. Now, Jane, for example, what are some of the questions you might be asked?
Oh, there's a lot, like, What could I have done to foresee these problems, or who was primarily responsible for this inadequate training?
Okay, so make sure that before you give your presentation, you'll know exactly how you will answer those questions. That'll be one less thing to be nervous about.
Sounds good.
Well, good luck to all of you as you prepare to deliver your presentations. Now comes the fun part, actually delivering your talk. Now remember that you may not be perfect your first time out, but no one is. It's experience that molds you into an effective speaker. So look for opportunities to practice speaking in public. Ask questions at meetings or volunteer to speak at a local group who could benefit from what you have to say. And I want to leave you with one final technique that you can use as the time draws near. I want each and every one of you to visualize yourself being successful. As you continue to practice, think positively about the upcoming experience.
An option to hire the equipment providers to do the training was excluded from our contract, and it was estimated that it would cost less to provide the training ourselves.
Be sure to picture the room and all the people who will attend. The more detail you can add, the better. Then imagine yourself feeling confident and calm. The day of your speech, if you can, get to the venue early. Become comfortable with the setting.
Welcome.
Picture the audience. Visualize them as friendly and supportive people who are excited to hear you talk. By visualizing a successful outcome, you're conditioning yourself to expect success, and your expectation of success will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's easy to say, have fun, but the more you speak publicly, the more fun it will be. Before you know it, the day will come that instead of gritting your teeth and praying for the speech to be over, you'll be looking forward to it and enjoying it.
When I was a junior in high school, my chances for going to college looked pretty bad. My grades were good, but my family didn't have the money. All my classmates were going on trips to various colleges, and I was feeling left behind, excluded, like there was nothing exciting in my future. But then I heard about the Barlow College Scholarship Program. The day I received my scholarship, my life was changed. Suddenly, all the closed doors, the frustration, the feelings of being left behind were just lifted off my shoulders. I was practically flying that day. I was so happy. All the Barlow Scholarship recipients that I've spoken with these past few weeks are grateful. Grateful for the incredible opportunity that we received, thanks to people like yourselves.
I know we have the talent in this organization to cut our error rate in half, just by increasing in-store training. This chart shows the proportion of incorrectly handled merchandise exchanges.
But Jane, why didn't the stores get proper training in their new equipment from the get-go?
So why didn't we foresee these problems? Certainly we knew some training would be necessary, but we didn't know to what extent. We decided to have store managers provide initial training and plan to develop an in-house program once we understood the needs. Well, that time has now come.
So there we were, making our machine gun noises, right? When Blaine walks up and he proceeds to explain to us how there were no guns on the Spirit of St. Louis. Well, we stood there speechless and a little scared, I might add. But the next thing we know, Blaine is down on his hands and knees, and he's pointing out how the wheels on Lindbergh's plane weren't nearly as advanced as the wheels on our bikes. Oh, we were amazed. I mean, here was someone important who was taking the time for a couple of scruffy-looking kids. He treated us like we mattered. I've never forgotten that day. Blaine had that effect on people, and I'm hoping that we've captured a bit of that spirit in this new edition. And so now, it is my privilege to announce the official opening of the Blaine Walker Wing.